In the two-dimensional world of video dots and dashes, flat blips and formless blobs, one video arcade game soars a dimension above the rest. Zaxxon! Experience the control as you climb and dive. Feel the power as you attack and evade. Discover a new level of excitement with the true feel of action in 3 dimensions. Zaxxon, from the master design engineers of Sega.
Ooh, master design engineers. Look out.
$300,000 for that commercial.
Yep. Pricey. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Play Retro. Yeah, that's right. This is Play Retro. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Johnson, and I'm very, very nervous that I won't be able to gauge this fake 3D world well enough to fly through that tiny hole in the wall. I was real good at all the shooting, but can I handle all the scooting? Darn tootin'. Anyway, Zaxxon, Zax off, mother effers.
No, I don't know how you got there with the scooting and the tooting, but I like it. Yes, yeah. Zaxxon and Zax off have been saying that all week. And I'm your other host, Brian Dunaway, and I have a pocket full of quarters and a hot summer day indoors worth of energy. I'm about to rain down on this isometric Sega shooter from the early 80s. As soon as I get good, noob. And now I'm broke. It's 9 a.m. on Saturday. What am I going to do? Well, may you burn 1,000 deaths, you red rocket shooting robot. Zaxxon.
Red rocket shooting.
You red rocket.
I like the term red rocket, but not for the reasons people might
I don't know
think.
if you like the term, but certainly it's a humorous term, right?
It is a term. No matter what, it's a term. If you didn't gather from that, and I don't know why you didn't, that may mean you're slow and slower than me, is what I'm saying. We played Zaxxon this week. We're going to talk all about it. Big arcade hit for a lot of people in their young years. It was for Brian and I know that. A lot of arcade time spent with the Zaxxon machine. And kind of,
I've never seen shadows in video games until I saw Zaxxon. A shadow.
I know, right? I mean, it was as close to a 3D experience as we had experienced, I think, in an arcade thus far. Yeah. But you know, you look back on it now and you kind of laugh because it's like, well, it wasn't ever 3D at all. But they did some tricks there that were interesting. It was also very proto Sega, so there's a lot to say about it. We're going to say all the things about it, but before that, we're going to talk about our week in retro. I have been busy as hell, but I had time because it was on sale and I thought I would finally pick it up. It was half off. They're having a Steam sale right now, 50% off everything. I'm playing the modern remake, the 2022 release of the Oregon Trail.
What?
That game is great, dude.
How are you here? You don't have dysentery?
No. In fact, one of my goals on the last run was to not have anyone get dysentery, and I made it, got the goal, got the items for the goal, but this guy named Roy in my party tripped on a rock and broke his leg right there in the middle of his femur, and he was holding us back so hard the whole trip. I was just like, this guy needs to get the F out of my freaking troop.
Sometimes you just gotta cut him loose, man. You gotta let. What'd you say his name was?
Roy. His name was
Uncle Roy.
Yeah.
Uncle Roy's got to go. Everybody was related back in Oregon Trail, right? Yeah, everybody was.
I think, as far as I know, that guy, I hired him because he had some fishing points already, so I was going to use him for my fishing stops. Because the first run through that, you don't have any knives. You have to get that through the winter travel thing, and so you can't really cut up certain kinds of meat and stuff. You can't prepare them the way you want to, right? So you're not going to eat very well. And so fishing's a good alternative, and I would use him. My goal was to use him because he already had high points for fishing. He'd be able to carry more. He could get bigger, longer, more unique fish. And then he broke his effing leg, so I had to use this other guy named Nick or whatever his name is, and he went out and did it. So it's fine.
If he can't do it, Nick can.
Nick can do it. That game's great, though. I highly recommend it. It is very, very good. It is currently only $14, I think, on Steam. It's usually $30. And uses this combo of a splash of the original kind of green graphics, the Apple IIe looking graphics, just a splash of that. Some like retro pixely stuff that you might call 90s, and then all the backgrounds, foregrounds, and all the other stuff is kind of rendered out beautifully. There's like sunsets with big, blaring sun. Like they've really combined a bunch of eras visually to give the game a really unique look to it, and it's cool. It's worth $15 for sure. I'm really enjoying it. So having a retro experience, but in a slightly more modern package.
Oh, a slightly more modern package. I got to ask though, did you actually learn anything?
Well, all right. So I know that game was used a lot for educational reasons back in school. Here's what I learned. There were a lot of stuff left out of the history in the game that mostly dealt with what was going on with indigenous folks during this time.
Yeah.
This game adds a bunch of that. So it kind of rectifies that and says, oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna
rectified it. Darn near killed him.
You're gonna come across a lost tribe here who got broken off from the main tribe because the white man stole their land, and like they're pretty willing to go there. And you have to make some kind of hard decisions. So I appreciate it on that level, because as a kid it was just like a Western. It was just like, all right, we're yeehaw, and then there's Indians in them hills. It's not like that now. It's different. We're smarter now, I think. It's good though. It's really, really good.
Smarter, but yeah.
Well, it's more informed. Let's put it that way.
There you go. Yeah.
Good time though. I recommend it. Yeah, I think it's worth grabbing. Get it now while it's half off, because half off is better than paying full price for anything. So do that.
Yeah, screw that. I'm not giving my whole money. I'll give them half money.
What'd you get up to this week? Something cool?
Well, I continued my adventures with my PS2. So we're still doing that. And let me see if I can scan up here a little bit. I pulled out. So I got the old fatty, the PS2 fatty. I got my Fastmic boot, which we looked at a little bit last week. I got my little SD card reader, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go with a hard drive, because this one allowed you to do that. The old hard drives were IDE. I converted it to a SATA by purchasing a little $20 adapter. It allows me to throw a SATA drive in there. So I did just that. And then I got this little wavelength thing, so it allows me to plug that into my PC so I can upload my games. And so now I am a expert at OPL. These are all words that'll mean something to you when you mod your PlayStation 2. And it's a good thing I did, because I wanted to play the Sega Genesis collection, which has an unlockable for Zaxxon. One of the few ways that you can play. And that was the antithesis of all that.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool, in fact. But important note: the reason you said I got the fatty, you need the fatty for the backwards compatibility stuff, right? Isn't that a deal?
Well, once you do the Fastmic boot, it doesn't really matter, because it's going to be running OPL, which allows you to play anything, anywhere. We want to do the big deal was the fact that you can do an internal hard drive, because there's space for it in here.
Okay.
And then you can load that bad boy up, and it's faster than using, because there's a couple ways you can do games here. You can burn them to CD. You can put them on a USB. Slowest way to do it, USB 1.
Yeah.
And then you can do that, like I said, this little SD card reader, which does okay. But the problem is there's 2 ports. If you plug one of these in, so if you're listening and you're like, oh, I tried that one time and I had a terrible time with it. And the reason why is because if you plug this thing into the memory port 1, which is the Magic Gate port, it disables your controller.
Oh shit.
So you have to keep this in port 2. So what you have to do is you have to put your Fastmic boot into memory port 2, and then boot that up, go into your OPL, swap it out, put this in there, put a memory card, 8 megabyte in the first one. That's a lot of swapping, Scott.
It's a lot of swapping.
I said, bump that. I said, I'm just going to get a hard drive and put it inside and just be done with it.
That's
exactly what I did.
You could probably do it with a slim on the outside. It'd just be dongly and ugly, right? You'd have to have ribbon and run it out.
I'm not sure what USB is, and I haven't moved on to that process yet, but I'm looking at that next. But there's all kinds of really cool PS2 projects going on right now, but a bunch of homebrew stuff. On the software side, the people just love this best-selling console of all time. Is that it? Yeah.
Still the king of that. I think the only thing that beats it is the Nintendo DS, but they didn't compare because it was a handheld, not a console. So they didn't count it as the leader. So as far as plug it into your TV console, PS2 is still reigning champ. As far as handhelds go, DS and Switch are the top 2, I believe.
And this is the cheapest way to do it too. The Fastmic boot, you can order one of those for about less than $20, little memory card. And it really is as simple as plugging it into your memory card too, and it just boots right up, and you start moving stuff around. And then the hard drive bay thing, which is called a network adapter, but it's not. You can convert that to SATA if you don't have a hard drive in there, or if your hard drive's dead. That was another $20. I mean, like $40 in, if you have a PS2 fat laying around somewhere, or you pick up one just somewhere inexpensively, it's pretty cheap for retro gaming.
My sophomore year in college, Fast McBoot was my wrestling name.
Yeah. And the reason why I started down this path was because emulating the PS2 kind of tough.
Pain in the ass. Let's just say it.
Pain in the ass. This is the easiest way.
Yeah.
I think there's a $12 adapter that you can plug in that goes HDMI.
Yeah.
And there's like, if you look around, you probably for $12 you probably get the Fast McBoot.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you order off eBay, so you're probably talking about all three of those components, like maybe $45-$50.
Sure.
I mean,
it's not bad.
Yeah.
No. You'll spend more on less, I think.
Yes.
Yes. I played bass for more on less in the 90s. Hey, here's the other thing too. Something I learned this week. What was it? So I had this old like $200 commission I did months and months ago for somebody. Yeah. And they never paid.
Okay. Artwork, right?
Yeah, artwork. I got kind of ripped off. He never paid it. Or at least I thought he was never going to pay it. So I was really mad, would never answer my emails. Found out that after I'd sent him the final and expected final payment, he was in the hospital with like some serious something or other and couldn't respond to anybody, and no one else knew he was doing this but me. So I felt really bad. I was like, "Oh shoot, dude! I thought you were AWOL, but really,
I thought you were dead beating me. You dead beat."
He goes, "Yeah, I'm just catching up on stuff. The good news is he's doing great, and he sent me the $200. So what did I do? I thought that's $200 I'd written off. I figured I wasn't getting that $200 ever. So you know what I did? I went and blew all of it on a Steam sale. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next week.
It's the spring sale, right? It has started this week. Is that right? It's not spring yet, but hey, it is on Steam.
A couple days ago, and there's great deals in there right now. They've been some of their sales over the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 big sales have all been banger sales.
Bangers.
Like stuff you don't expect to come way down. They do. It's not the same thing over and over. Like it kind of, there were some years there where you were just like, all right, same 12 things are on sale every one of these things.
And I've already got all of them.
And I already have them all or close to it or the ones I want, but there's way more variety now. Obviously all the indies help and that sort of thing. And that's mostly what I got, but I spent just under $200 worth of, that commission. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I might have $40 left. I don't know. But I felt
pretty good. Hey, $40, that's just enough to get that fat PS2 running that we talked about. So
I felt good about it because I just honestly I thought the money was gone. I wasn't going to get it, and then I did. And also, I'm very glad he's okay. That's the main thing. I even told him. I said, "Dude, I didn't know you were going through this. I feel terrible. Can I cut this in half? Can I make it easier somehow?" And he's like, "No. Lannister always pays his debts, or something to that effect." I was like, "All right, let's do it." Anyway,
fine. Give me my money. Give me my money.
Well, next week we'll have more talk about some of the projects we're working on. In the meantime, let's talk about this.
Shall we play a game?
We will talk about a game and play it. We're going to talk about Zaxxon. And for those uninitiated with Zaxxon, I feel bad for you, number one. Number two, we are here to help you not feel that way anymore about one of the coolest isometric shooters ever put to arcade use, I believe. To this day, it's still kind of notorious and kind of legendary. People think about Zaxxon very fondly in the year of
everybody who everybody who walked into the arcade. So let's set the settings here. Usually when you went into the arcade, you had some Space Invaders, some Pac-Man, that sort of stuff. It's 1982. You're walking into the arcade and you are seeing something that you'd never seen before, basically 3D. Sure, we had seen vector 3D graphics, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about something that looked like it was, what we eventually started calling polygons, like, flat shaded surfaces and that kind of stuff. Not a lot of shading here, but they use to great effect, like dark spots that are shadows, and it was an isometric view or axometric projection, I think is what it called, because I think that's what they got the name from. Zaxxon is a play on axon.
Ax off. Yeah, we could do that joke one more time. But here he is. Look at him. He's avoiding your face.
Yeah, look at him. It's the ship. You're the fighter ship. You pilot the ship. And I love that little graphic. Where'd you get the little graphic?
I
from?
just capped it out. I found it on a screenshot. Made my own little PNG, and there it is now.
Oh, I love it. Or let me try to eat him.
Here's the thing, though. That little ship was anxiety inducing for me. So we'll go back to the video and I'll play some music here or some sound from it. That is a very like ominous sounding game. You hear this and you go, like it feels like you're just up to a serious mission and there's no music. Right. It's just like that horrible sound of not space. I don't know what it is. It's just like this facility humming at you.
Yeah.
And then you have the added anxiety for the first time in your gaming life of going, oh crap, there's verticality. I have to slip through this hole in a wall and not quite sure how quote unquote high my ship needs to be in order to clear the damn thing. Or how low I got to go. And you have to start learning what that shadow does for you. Because that shadow under your ship is visually and gameplay everything for you. That's all. Yeah. That's your biggest friend if you just know how to use it and know that when it's at its lowest, you are way down there. When you go higher, you're up there. There's not a lot of change in the size of your sprite. So when you go up, you need to notice that, oh yeah, I'm up and I know I'm up because that shadow is casting way, way down there where I don't want to be. And they also have this height and low or high and low line off to the left of the screen.
Altimeter, yeah.
Altimeter. A good point. I didn't even think of it as an actual thing, but you're right. It is an altimeter.
Yeah. And it's important because that's what they gave you two tools here. They gave you the altimeter so you would kind of know, oh, am I low, am I high? And then they gave you the shadow so that you could tell where you at across the z-axis, essentially, since it's projected at kind of an angle,
right?
An isometric view. And so if you see missiles coming up out of the ground, if you don't have that shadow, you won't know if you are directly over top of it.
Yep.
But if your shadow is heading straight towards that rocket coming out of then you know. It's like, oh, my ship's not heading towards it, but my shadow is. I better move that shadow.
The shadow knows. Also, your bullets know. So when you're using your bullets, here's an example against this wall. You can kind of use your bullet impacts to know where you're at. Like, okay, I'm aiming too low because my bullets are smacking on the wall. You go down a little bit and now they're going through it and you're like, okay, I can go through there. So there's these like subtle things that made you a better player in this game if you paid attention. And that's the ramp of the game. Once you get those basics down, there's a zen-like quality to this thing that just makes you not want to leave the arcade. You just want to pump quarters till your eyes bleed.
You have to understand the space you're operating in. Up until this point, you pretty much were just doing pattern memories. So you were like almost every game you play was about, okay, so if you run this way and this way, then that's what happens. Here, you're actually having to, actually navigate a bunch of different patterns and thoughts about what's happening and make adjustments. So this is the first time I see it. So anyone who's ever experienced Zaxxon at the arcade when it was released, they never forget it.
Oh,
they never say. Very few people ever say, "Oh yeah, Zaxxon's my favorite game. I love pumping quarters in that thing." No, it's just it leaves a memory upon you that you will never forget.
Even if you played it now, you're young, you're 15 years old, you weren't alive for this, you've maybe you've never heard anyone talk about it. You emulate this and play this once, you will remember this game.
Yeah.
It's weird to me that's the thing, because I can't think of too many games like that. To me, Joust is a bit like that because I'm biased because I love Joust, but it's one that leaves an imprint. Pac-Man leaves an imprint. Zaxxon, it's Sega's version of that, and it really hung on for me anyway.
At this point, Sega had not had huge success. They had some success. They had released, I think, Frogger the previous year. They didn't develop it, but they were publishing it, putting it in the arcades and the sort. But this was built in house. This is their own game, and it did really well. This is kind of the game that really helped get Sega where it needed to be or wanted to be.
Yeah, this was right. Let's see, we told people the year, didn't we? We did 1982.
82, right?
We were still we were in the thick of things with my dad's arcade business. This is one of the machines we had, although we had it. This is what made Zaxxon interesting in my life, because if we had a battle zone, for example, we'd have that in the house for months, and then it would end up in the arcade or go to one of these locations. And that was kind of the pattern with almost everything else that we would have come in. Zaxxon, we had for, I think, 2 days before we slotted it into the arcade, because it was it was expensive. That was an expensive cabinet.
Yeah.
But B, people loved it, and it was a moneymaker. And I think we probably made it. It was profitable within that month, if I had to guess.
Yeah. This was no kit. You didn't get Zaxxon in as a kit and replace, something in a board that already existed. This had its own, Sega had its own board for Zaxxon. It was doing some things that were very unique. And yeah, it'll always occupy space in my brain, if you will. And this week playing it really made me start thinking about something we didn't have a lot of at the time, which is what's the story? What's the story here, man? And so you're flying through some sky. Was it Asteroid City? I think if you read all the stuff, and it's so apparently this is. I'm trying to talk this out, Scott. So tell me if this story sounds right to you. I haven't verified this anywhere, but this is what I'm imagining. What Zaxxon is. You're a fighter, right?
Yep.
And you're defending your home planet wherever you're at. And Asteroid City is a floating city that travels through space. The first area you go into is a facility that is on an asteroid, and there are missiles being shot from the ground. They're not coming for you. There's homing missiles in this game, and there's lasers and things that are trying to kill you in your tunnel run, right? Your little Star Wars, run.
Oh yeah, and don't skip that too quick, because clearly this is inspired by the trench run in Star Wars. Everything about
absolutely the trench run.
Yeah,
absolutely. So you got your trench run, and so you got the missiles are going up. So I'm assuming those are meant for your home planet, right? I'm assuming those they just kind of disappear out of the frame. Then in between the two fortresses, you have an area where the enemy opponent has their ships out in space, and then you get to the final spot where you're fighting against Zaxxon. And his only real thing is he has a giant red missile. And he shoots it at you, and you have to shoot, I think, 6 times to blow it up.
Yep.
If you shoot it before it leaves his robot body, then he retreats.
Yep.
And you do it again, but faster
and harder.
More things are shooting at you.
Now we haven't talked about it yet, but the follow-up to Zaxxon, which is Zaxxon or Super Zaxxon, makes an attempt to take that formula and really amp up every aspect of it. We'll get to that in a minute, but the pattern here in the first game is actually relatively simple, but it had a way of seeming more complex because of the perspective, the gameplay implications of that perspective, and the Z-axis stuff. Like it just made it seem like, wow, what are we playing here? That's
important, but we had just seen we were slowly starting to add more game mechanics, like Space Invaders. It's basically you defending. You had some very visual shields. When they got up, you knew it was time to get out of the way.
Yep.
And then there was some other games that had like fuel pickups where you'd have to blow up the fuel to keep going, and they employed that here too. So we're just slowly just adding game mechanic after game mechanic, and this is a real 3D chess type game where you're managing a whole bunch of stuff all at once.
Yep, and it had the feeling. I know it wasn't fully procedurally generated, but the levels, as you can see here, felt that way. I felt like I was doing something new with every run. That's an important feeling in a game. Like it's kind of like, I always bring up Diablo as the example, but Diablo and Diablo 2, way back in the day, I felt like, and you could have lied to me and told me this and I would have believed you, but it felt like there was an unending number of weapons in the game, and they were never going to run out of new weapons. The truth was they had a limited number. The way they made them unique was affixing new numbers to them all the time and saying, well, this one has +5 damage compared to the last one you dropped, but it's kind of the same weapon, or it might be a different color or whatever, but it was, or a slightly different name, or you put a gem in it or whatever. And that made for the kind of variety that felt eternal. And it also helped that the levels in that game were dynamically generated based on a tile set. This had a similar thing happen, where it just made you feel vast, and what you were doing was bigger than a game should be able to pull off in 1982. And I think I just cannot overemphasize how big of a deal that was. It was a huge deal, man. It just felt
the level of complexity that Zaxxon added to your gameplay was just huge difference between what we had been playing before this. Because the thing that you're recognizing is those places, every time you made it through and you went to your next level, more things were shooting at you, and they were shooting faster.
Yep.
And so so the previous run you had, where you maybe kind of had your ship guide through a particular path that you had kind of picked up, was no longer available, because now there were new just more bullets coming through, so you had to shift.
Yeah.
And also you can't be lazy, because if you fly if you stay at the top, which is what you want to do as a newbie on Zaxxon, you're like, oh well, I'm not going to go down to the surface of my fuel. If I got plenty of fuel, I'm not going down to the surface. That's foolishness.
Yeah.
I'll just get shot. But what happens is, if you stay up there for more than a couple of seconds, Zaxxon from all the way across to the next fortress will start shooting his little red rockets at you.
Yeah.
And those things are impossible to, hit if you're no good at them.
It doesn't let you cheese the game. It is, after all, designed to eat quarters. Its job is to have you not live very long.
Quarters.
Yeah, it's not an easy game. And the perspective shift really throws you. Like this playthrough I'm watching is somebody who's very good at this game, and that's great for them. I didn't play nearly this well.
Right.
I had a rough time, if I'm honest, about coming back to it. At first, anyway, I got better hang of it as I went, and I did notice this game really benefit. I played it on a retro handheld. Right. Was it on my Steam Deck? No, I played this on the SP, the flip lid one.
Yeah, the Abernick.
Or was it the SP?
SP 3500.
Maybe it wasn't the
SP,
because I used an analog stick, which is my whole point. It must have been the other H one. Anyway, it really benefits from an analog stick, and the up and down and the move around and stuff, which is as close as you're going to get to an arcade stick in a handheld, I suppose. A D-pad I found to be brutally lame. I did not like that. Yeah. Didn't control that well. So it's designed, if I remember right, Brian, the arcade cabinet, which I have a picture of right here.
Yeah.
It had... Yeah, here, I'll show this to everybody. This had a joystick that was like a flight stick.
Right. It was a flight stick, 8-way flight stick.
There it is.
And a fire button. Fire.
I don't know why we go Beavis. Every time fire comes up, we go
I don't
Beavis.
know. And it's 2-player as well, as you probably can see. I think there may be a button over there for it. But it's not 2-player at the same time.
No,
so
it's what do you call it?
Take turns.
Yeah, there's a word for it now though we use. What's a hot seat? It's a hot seat game.
Yeah, hot seat. There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
If you look at the side art cabinet on this thing, it kind of gives you the full picture of how to play this game, or how the fortresses look.
Oh, right. You see the whole side view of a fortress floating. Yeah. Look at that.
But Brian's young mind, I didn't read instructions, but there's instructions on the cabinet on the console, right? You can read all about it. It's like, oh, you want to do this and this. I didn't know nothing. Trial and error is how I did. Now, I started out this week. I started out this week. I played this on my Atari VCS running Batacera.
Oh,
that way I could plug in my Logitech. Was it Wingman? What is it? What's the flight stick again?
Wingman.
Wingman. That's not right.
Wing unit. Thrustmaster. Shit.
All right, so I hooked up my Thrustmaster so I could play. That's a lot more tight, my Thrustmaster. You're welcome. Than the old flight stick on the Zaxxon machines. They were very loose. I was going to adjust and everything. I was like, will I be any better? I don't know. The thing I dreaded the most about playing Zaxxon this week, which shouldn't be much because I love Zaxxon, the idea, I'm no good at it either. So I said, how can I cheat this thing? Because there's no way I'm going to get to see Zaxxon himself. I've only ever made it at the arcade maybe like once or twice to where I've made it to the end to actually see him. So I found which one you could do it with. So for the PS2, which we've been talking about pre-show a lot these past couple of weeks. Oh, and at the top of the show, I found the Sega Genesis collection, and they're kind enough as Sega Genesis collection to make it unlockable. Thanks a lot. Jerks.
Thanks, guys. You big butts.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. So I loaded up and I'm like, there's no Zaxxon on here. But then I read more. I was like, oh, so the way you get it is you finish the first level of Sonic the Hedgehog. And you have to get 50 coins, and you have to get the big coin at the end, which takes you to the bonus stage of the spinning around thing. and then if you do that right, you get the Chaos Emerald.
Right.
Bump that. So what I did instead was I found out there was a cheat code which you can. It's like left. It's on the D-pad. It's like left, right, up, down, L1, R1, L1, R1, and it unlocks everything, which is great because you got interviews and everything else.
Nothing wrong with that because of the way we're covering this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you can, and then I played it with my analog stick on my Sony PS2 controller. So that worked out really good. But you can set it to infinite lives.
Right.
And that's what I did. So I just kept running through. And what you discover when you die that many times is, there's a bunch of little unmarked checkpoints. And, you make it in a certain amount. And if you get destroyed, you go back a little bit on the field. And I finally did make it to Zaxxon. And once I was allowed the time, which I was never allowed the time at the arcade because it was
It's an arcade.
Cost of training.
Yeah, we weren't made of money at that age. We didn't have. We expect. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I couldn't learn all the things I needed to learn because I didn't have the money to do it. It's a paywall, Scott. It's a paywall.
I know.
So, I actually learned how to do it, and I got pretty good this week. And now I can go back down to the normal, 3-5 lives, whatever your little switches are set to. And I can make it to Zaxxon now and destroy him. You got to shoot that red rocket. It took me forever to understand that you don't shoot Zaxxon the robot. You shoot his stupid little, it sticks out just a little bit. His red rocket.
His little red rocket. Yeah.
Yeah, his little red rocket. Got to blow it up.
I feel like somebody at Sega was having a laugh on that red rocket.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can either I think he scurries off or you can blow him up. He always ends up scurrying off for me because by the time I blow up the red rocket, he's gone. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, and later with Super, you'd get
retreats
or not Super, what they call it? Yeah, Super Zaxxon.
Super Zaxxon.
Later on, you get to fight some dragons. We'll get to
that. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, we should talk about that.
Let's talk about it now. Super Zaxxon, late 82, so same year. Early 82, you got Zaxxon. Later on, I remember word getting out about this in my friend circles. Dude, Super Zaxxon's down at the Galleria. You want to go down there? I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go. Who's taking us? I'll get my mom to do it. So we go down there, and this place that's no longer there, I think it's a school now, but it used to be this awesome arcade and laser tag place and all this stuff called the 39th Street Galleria off 39th in Salt Lake City. But anyway, I love that place, but we went in there and it was in one of the pits. They almost had like gambling pits for arcade machines. So you'd have like these circular pits. You'd walk down steps, and in there would be a big giant pillar, and then around the pillar would be like 6 arcade machines, and they had like 5 pits like this. It was so cool. And down in there was the Super Zaxxon machine, and I remember being so excited that week. I couldn't think of anything else. All I wanted to do is play Super Zaxxon. And so we loaded up, we got this stuff, and even the opener's got a damn robot dinosaur blowing dragon blowing letters out. Look at that. Look, he's insane. What is that about? That's crazy.
And he's kind of cute too. I gotta admit, he's kind of cute. He looks almost like a Lego dragon too.
Yeah, he's very chibi. Pretty silly. But boy, did they ramp this thing up. So basically the first level is faster. More chaotic, more shit to blow up, more things blowing you up, more things shooting at you, quicker, you having to react quicker to where doors are or overhangs. There's a tunnel in the building. We just entered it here in the video. Yeah. This was hard. I had a way harder time playing this than the first one because of the speed. I think alone was enough to make me go, "Holy crap, dude!"
This did not enjoy the success that the first one did. And of course, anyone who was alive during the time would probably say, oh, that's because it was not enjoyable because it was too hard. Because the designers did something. We were also still learning. This is real early on. This is only year 1982. And we don't have very many sequels to games. This is one of the first sequels to something like this. And so you have to ask yourself, do we want to just present the same thing as before and just add some stuff, or do we want to, totally rethink it? And so what they said was, let's take where players left off, and they've gotten good at playing Zaxxon. Obviously, they're staying at the machine too long now, right? Yeah. So we need to get them off faster. but they have these skill sets they've learned along the way. It turns out that's not the best way to approach this, because a lot of people maybe didn't play Zaxxon because it just came out early 82, and maybe they're no good at it either. And so
they hadn't have enough time. There's not enough time to get good at it. Like, they've only had the thing for 6 months in their arcade.
Right. So there's no carryover skills. It's not like when you play something at home where you can get, just over and over again and get good at it and then get a sequel. We saw this with the Super Mario Brothers, what game was it that was like that? It was like the part 2 was like insanely hard because they thought everybody had played the first one, therefore they would have those skill sets and they would carry it over.
Well, Super Mario Brothers 2 was like a whole different kind of game, so I'm not sure that's right. It, but like
that in America it was, but the original one they wanted to release in America.
Oh, right, the Lost Levels.
Lost Levels.
Yeah, Lost Levels are hard as shit. They're hard today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So same concept in my mind was employed here, that but we weren't good enough with it. So we walked in, we saw Super Zaxxon, it was too punishing, and I just didn't revisit it. I just like, nope.
Well, the concept around it is a little like the Street Fighter series. Street Fighter 2, then you had Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Hyper Fighting Edition.
Yeah.
Like, you kept making it quicker and more responsive and all that. And I think that model worked for the fighting community.
Yeah.
I think for something like this, when you go from 0 to 4 billion in 6 months, it was a bit much.
Yeah, I think if you were at an arcade, you probably had a handful of people who were just amazing at the first Zaxxon, or probably were essentially abusing the system by hanging out on the Zaxxon machine forever because they got good at it. But if you bring out Super Zaxxon, most of your patrons are not going to be able to. They're not going to have the skills to do it.
No.
Now, with that being said, if you're playing it today, I played through Zaxxon. I got good there. And when I started playing Super Zaxxon for the first time, I was actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, because you've got the skills coming in.
It's way more chaotic, but there's actually a lot more paths for you to kind of skirt around it. It seems like I wasn't getting hit as much, and I didn't feel like I was doing anything special.
So it's not wide. I did a little checking on that, so I'm glad you brought that up. It's not wider. The lane is not wider than the previous game, but there's less crap cluttering the place, and in its place, it seems like there's more stuff because there's more missiles coming up. There's more tanks to blow up. There's more stuff like that. So it feels more cramped, but it isn't. There's actually more room to get around, and the walls are a little less. Let's see if we can see one here. The walls are a little more nondescript, like this one coming up. Oh, this is a tunnel, but they're less. It was less about bricks and being kind of visually busy, so you sort of pick out the holes easier and stuff like that. I thought, but yeah.
Yeah, and instead of that intermediate area where between, like instead of that blank space that was in the first one, between it where you had to fight ships in a dogfight, which was kind of difficult for people to understand. It's like, oh, you took my shadow away. Now I don't know how high my ship is. How am I supposed to attack, these other spaceships? And so they gave us a tunnel in between this time. But they said, oh, we're not super kind. We're also going to add these new types of ships that are going to be mine layers. Mm-hmm. Good luck.
Yeah, have fun with those guys. They're just shitting out mines while you're in that hall. The other thing about, so like the old blank space areas in the first game, they basically were just making a three, essentially like a 3-layered cake of Galaga, right? So it's like, if you're down low and those ships are small like you can shoot them. Yes. But trying to do something in the middle was a waste of your time. Just get up to the top and do them when they're big, go to the bottom and do them when they're little. And that becomes a little tedious. I think the tunnel is better than that.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about the sprites scaling like they had in I don't know if it was actually sprite scale or not, but something like that. Because when you went into space in the first one, when you went down, your ship really did get a lot smaller.
Yeah, a little teeny
kind of help you scale that. But you've gotten so used to using your shadow is the reference point for that. Now all of a sudden you're working with different sizes. It gets confusing. So they eliminated that this time around.
Yeah,
I think it was a really good try. Kind of fast turnaround though. It did take care of some of the issues from the first one. So I respect that. And it was kind of the first time I really seen problem solving for sequels, right?
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see where they failed and where they succeeded.
Yeah, and back then you're not totally redoing engines or anything. You're just kind of tweaking what you got. And same board, I think. Yeah, they didn't change the.
Yeah, I think the Zaxxon and the Super Zaxxon board were very similar. It wasn't a ROM swap. You couldn't just take you couldn't up convert the original Zaxxon machine.
No, but I don't think it had like better.
But it was the same technology essentially.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting game. The history of this game is interesting. Now, I always wondered. This always drove me crazy.
Yeah.
The success of Zaxxon 1, which was this hallmark of arcade goodness, 2 or Super kind of whatever, but still as a series, very high in people's minds in terms of a thing they appreciate.
Right.
Sega goes quiet with this thing.
Yeah.
Forever. Like,
yep.
Nothing really until about the year 1995. When suddenly out of nowhere, no one asked for it. And also, I think it's a terrible, terrible version of the game. But the Sega 32X comes out with a game called Zaxxon's Mother Base 2000.
Yeah, and Zaxxon's Mother Base, baby.
I don't have any problem with them going with like some polygonal stuff. It's a little bit like what you were seeing with Star Fox, that kind of stuff on Nintendo's platform. But the difference here is way too zoomed in. Like, this is too close to the action. I can't really estimate where these ships are coming from. I don't feel it's claustrophobic in a way that isn't fun. Right. I think that it's just a little chaotic. Also, your ship is your ship sometimes, and then other times it's not your ship, and you're in another ship, and it's a funky ass game. I tried to play this week, and I had the patience for it was low. I could barely stand it.
So, other than the isometric view, if you're coming into this game thinking, oh, this is just the next evolutionary step in Zaxxon, you're probably going to be like you were. And I was the same way when I first played it. And I said, okay, I'm going to go again. And I went again. I went a couple more times. I'm like, okay, I get it. This is not necessarily Zaxxon. First of all, a lot of your ships are bug shaped now, which I think is pretty cool. They got some really cool ideas here in this game. Like the ship swapping, that probably just confused you because it's like, what the hell's going on? Because you probably weren't intentionally swapping ships, but you don't have a verticality. You don't have the altimeter here in this one. Your ship basically, it just goes along the ground and you can do little hops. And so you can hop into other ships.
Right.
So,
right.
So if your ship's there and you got your other ships as well, kind of fighting alongside you, you can actually jump into the other ships.
You're like a little module guy, right? Like your module can jump ship to ship and then take over another ship.
Right. So it's kind of cool in that. So once I started getting into some of that, what the game mechanics were, I actually really like this. I don't know how far I would have played it, but considering that it's the 32X, you didn't have a lot of titles to choose from. So
you take what you can get.
This was not bad. It's kind of actually kind of cool.
They need to zoom that damn camera out, though. Look how tight it is. It's like, gosh, dang it, dude. Give me some view here. It's ridiculous.
It is very tight, but look at these huge polygonal-looking robots and stuff. Oh, my gosh. It reminds me so much of, like, Robotech and
oh, yeah. No, there's something here. Like, you know what? Like that giant robot that's been here the whole time and is, fighting next to you. It's freaking badass.
Oh, it is so freaking cool.
But he's almost always cropped out of view because the camera's so tight. I just need it to be a little less claustrophobic down below.
I'm not sure. I'm assuming probably maybe some hardware limitations. Probably
how much they could show in a view. Yeah. Oh, it just fell. Yeah. It just fell down. That was pretty cool. I missed it. I didn't get that far. I tried to play it. It emulated fine. It sounded like this. Kind of funky,
Yeah. There's a lot to like here in this game. Just go in knowing that it doesn't share a lot other than themes with the original Zaxxon. It doesn't really play like the original Zaxxon. It's not really at the speed. Zaxxon's a endless runner essentially, and there was actually an iOS version of that was an endless runner. You can't stop. It's just constantly rolling. You can choose to move forward a little bit here with this ship because you kind of got like a little radius that your ship can kind of hover in. But otherwise, it's definitely not the original Zaxxon. But it's kind of its own thing.
I swear, they just had a transform that looked like Starscream for a hot second. That guy fought.
Yeah. Oh, the audio and visual thing at first is kind of jarring. But then I kind of started digging it.
It's kind of yeah. I like the look. I like the low poly vibe. I would play this now if I could just let me hit a shoulder button and go out 3 inches. Like, Jesus, it's so tight.
So tight.
Well, there it is. But, good look at that game, and that game is kind of where it ended. There's a lot of ports, right? Like the Atari port. And all that.
Everybody got a port. Now ColecoVision had the best one by far, but Atari had a Zaxxon port that really wasn't Zaxxon.
Look at this, dude. This is it right here. If in a way, this is impressive because it's like, holy shit, they're doing a 3D forward facing scaling sort of. I mean, those sprites are just being swapped, but it's kind of impressive on its own. But when you say, hey, this is Zaxxon, I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, if you remove the idea that it's Zaxxon and saying this is a really cool shooter, it's a really good shooter. Yeah, but it's just not for Atari anyway. But 2600, but you're still shooting the fuel to get more fuel. You're doing some weird, almost. You kind of got to the way you have to see how the walls are. It's really weird. Mm-hmm. It's like I have no clue where I'm supposed to be on screen. None.
No.
Even with the shadows and stuff, I'm like I don't know where I'm supposed.
Got gnarly audio too. Listen to this. Just, I mean, it's Atari as hell, right? Like,
yeah.
Not a lot you can do about that.
It was punching the best it could. Very few. I don't think there's no arcade perfect Atari 2600, right? I mean, it's just what most of the games were developed in under 3 to 6 months. So I mean, it is what it is.
They usually had one guy, just one dude doing it.
One dude.
Yeah. That was the way of it. Dude. ColecoVision looked a little bit more recognizable. I'll pull that one up too. And you said you played a bit of this version as well?
I did. The ColecoVision. It actually makes me want. I just keep getting more and more thoughts that I want to get a ColecoVision. I never had one growing up, but it's a machine that it keeps impressing me with its abilities of its time.
Yeah, right? I agree. Wow, like my friend had this. My friend had it up the road, and he was doing stuff that made me, jealous.
Box envy. You had some box envy.
I had box envy. I wanted his box. Is what I wanted.
Yeah, give me the box. Your box is better than my box. What's going on?
Yeah, my 2600, the Intellivision, all that shit looked like garbage compared to this. And I remember Donkey Kong, because it's pre-NES days. Donkey Kong was like the best version of Donkey Kong you could play outside the arcade on his Coleco, and we went and played that a whole bunch. So yeah, I mean, as you can see here in this video, those are watching live or later. This is a decent representation, a little dumbed down, but a decent representation of the experience. And Brian and I were talking off air, but we may just do a Coleco episode, not one game, maybe some of its best games, but just talk about the history of that device. Where Coleco not lost their way, but there was a time there where they looked like they were the big up and comer, and then they weren't, and why, and all that is kind of interesting. So, how hard are these to get? Have you tried to find any eBay or whatever?
I have not. I just because I didn't. I knew if I looked, I would probably order one. So I was there. I was like, I'm just gonna wait until the time is right, and then I will make my move.
Just for funsies, I want to see Coleco.
Vision.
So currently, if I look for on sale, it's not too bad. You're gonna pay, if you want the whole thing with all the extra shit, $445. If you want the console, the Atari expansion, and the race wheel, about $209. But if you want just the basic device, 2 controllers tested and working, $149. Not bad.
That's good. That's about what I figured it would be.
Yeah.
So that's good. That fits in with my.
There's a few in here
and thank you for doing that for me too. It's like an alcoholic going into a bar. It's like, no, I better not.
Yeah.
I better wait.
Now they had a ColecoVision called the 6250 or 62500 that was like a really rare that didn't come to market or something. That they want $2,000 for that. So
nice.
Yeah. Oh, apparently these are in demand enough to get over. They're all over $200 for most of these. There's a few a little bit lower. Some say it doesn't work, $89. It's So still a lot of money for a thing.
I'll take a challenge. That's probably what no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I do want at least a base system that actually operates.
Yeah, you want to play it. I don't mind having broken consoles. Kind of just like the relicness of it. But
you just like looking to put on display and stuff. But I would like it to be functional so that I can get some of that original experience. Is what we talk about this from time to time. I don't know exactly how you would classify what I have. It's not nostalgia because I never had one, but it is like being able to step back in time and see if I would have enjoyed something that was from that time period.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
And this is typical right here. This listing is, they're all kind of like this. If you get a complete working one with maybe an accessory or a game pack like that, what's that? Slither? Whatever the hell that was. $400 or best offer. So get that done.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the steering wheel and that kind of stuff. I'll find one. Yeah, I'll find one. Maybe somebody in the community is like, "Hey, I got a ColecoVision out the garage, just sitting here taking up some space. Hey, be out there, Brian."
Yeah, and if you got a broken one, I'll take it. Brian will take the working one. I'll take the broken one. How about that?
We'll give it much love and we'll do it. Oh, did we get a chance to talk about Future Spy? I didn't want to leave without at least.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Future Spy, a game that looked an awful lot like Zaxxon.
For reasons,
but it is not Zaxxon. So what's the story behind this game and why does it look so familiar?
So Future Spy is actually a ROM swap. Now you could take your Super Zaxxon and, it's 1984, a couple years later. Super Zaxxon didn't do great. So people had some systems and they wanted to, make some more money out of them. This was their answer. It is kind of a modern fighter where you're fighting against helicopters and other ships on land, on Earth, I'm assuming. And you can, you still got your verticality somewhat.
They don't give you the high and low.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
they don't. That's right. This one flies straight. That's right. So you don't get that, but what you do is you get bombing. So you can get a lot of bombing. So you're getting to shoot, and you can drop bombs that hit the water, and they'll go and they'll track out a battleship and blow it up. But the really cool part is the Future Spy part, which I think is what you're showing right now. You fly into at a certain point. I don't know when it happens, but a cloud will appear.
Yeah, it's like a spatial wormhole looking cloud thing.
Yeah, and you'll fly into that, and then you're like in this you're in the grid, right?
Yeah.
And it's really cool. We got this stuff that's just like mixing, flying around, and it's just a fun little shooter.
Yeah, it looks fun. I think it's kind of a blast. I haven't played it, but it seems neat.
Yeah.
And
why not? So
adding bombs is cool, and the bombs, when you're on the water, the bombs turn into torpedoes when they hit the water. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. It's not bad. It's not great, but if you want a Zaxxon that's not Zaxxon, look no further than Future Spy, and you can play it if you got that Sega Genesis collection. It's an unlockable.
Oh,
why they didn't have the Super Zaxxon? They didn't have that one on there, but it's all also part of the unlockables in that PS2 collection.
It's interesting. A lot of these used to be hacks that came from literally hackers, not the companies. But this is a ROM swap from Sega themselves. They had their name on this stuff, so pretty crazy.
And this used a day-night cycle too, which I thought was pretty interesting. This early on, the longer you fly, like day 4 of the invasion, I suppose.
Here's this cloud coming up for those watching live. There it is. See. Big storm cloud.
Cool? That's a cool graphic.
It's pretty cool, yeah. And then you go sucking into that. Now you're in Tron land. Whee!
Yeah.
It's very Tron inside there.
It's very Tron inside there. I love it.
I wouldn't mind I may get this and play it. Let's mess around.
I think you should play it. Yeah. Like I said, it's a fun little. It's definitely worthy of throwing it on one of your little handhelds with an analog stick or whatever.
Yeah. I don't remember it all from back then. This was new to me.
I never even heard of Future Spy.
Yeah, new to me this week. 100% new.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Good job, Sega and Bally Midway to some degree. You guys made a mark, and you haven't done shit with that IP forever. So I don't know if you're ever going to do anything with it, but if you do, I'm here for you. Bring it out.
Yeah.
Make a new one.
And I got to mention this because I had tons of people ask me if I had ever played the Neo Geo game Viewpoint from 1992.
Oh yeah, that game's great. I forgot about that. Let's look that one up real quick.
I thought it was pretty cool. I checked it out, and I definitely will follow it up sometime soon. But yeah, it's very Zaxxon-like.
If I remember right, it had a very cool soundtrack. as well.
Yes. Yes.
Pull this up here and just look at it real quick.
Everything I listened to sounded really good.
Yeah, very similar. Oh, you know what? That's a great game. I have played this. This game rocks.
Yeah.
I might play some of this later.
Yeah.
Man, Neo Geo shit was so cool, dude.
We got to do a Neo Geo.
Oh, the sprite work in Neo Geo games, unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
Like it just looked amazing, and they would insert these bits of polygonal stuff, but it mixed right in with the high frame rate animated sprites, and there's nothing quite like what they were doing. I mean, look at this shit.
Dang it. Why didn't you last longer, Neo Geo? Why didn't you go the distance?
I'm playing this later. I'm all set.
Playing that later too. And also, I completely forgot about the Return of the Jedi arcade game.
Oh yeah, that was although it changed because you had the isometric part.
Bikes.
You had the part that was Zaxxon view, but then there was other stuff in that game where they changed views.
Yeah.
That's a weird game.
But the speeder bikes was totally Zaxxon.
We should do an entire episode on just Star Wars, like a grouping of Star Wars games that had a huge impact. Yeah. I think that's one. Yeah. I think obviously the Vector Star Wars game,
the arcade one, the original one. Yeah, so I love that thing.
That all timer, so good. We should do that. Yeah. That should be a thing we do. When is Star?
If we do that one, you gotta let me. We gotta make a plan for that one because I've been meaning to order the yoke. So they got, if you ever played the Star Wars arcade, all Vector and everything, you had this really cool yoke flight stick thing. So there's one. Anyway, there's an online store that sells it. I'll have to look it up.
Well, but it's May 5th. We could do it for May the 5th. May 4th. 4th is a Sunday. Right. But that week prior, that Friday the 2nd, could be the day we decide to do Star Wars shit.
I think it's Thunder Sticks.
Thunderstick. Ho!
Thunder Sticks.
Another thing I love. Thundercats is so good. Love Thundercats. All right. Well, that's all well and good, Brian. We have to play a game that we made up and where we challenge each other, auditorially anyway, and we guess each other's game.
Oh, I'm going to challenge your...
Oh, you'll challenge me, will you? What are you going to say?
I'm going to challenge your auditory. By the way, there's a Thundersticks link. I put it in Discord.
Oh, let's take a look at that. Hold on. I want to see this. You're going to... Dude, cool? The memory flood that I just had in my head when I looked at that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Star Wars light yoke.
Look at that thing. I remember being very young and thinking that art on there looked like a robot face. Little mouth and eyes.
The only thing I don't like is it doesn't like it had the little... I thought those little buttons, the little fire buttons were red, like a red cleared thing.
Oh, it may have been on some models or something. I think they lit up too, didn't they, back in the day?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I thought they did too.
But otherwise, look how good this looks. Mounts right on your desk.
Damn.
Sign me up, baby.
Well, anyway, that's pretty rad.
All right,
I did not see that coming. All right, let's go ahead. I have to get that out of my head now. Now I'm all excited for you.
Yeah, it's a little box. I mean, if you've ever seen it, it is way cool. It's like it's got this wrap around it that makes you feel like you're in, an X-wing. This is way cool.
I agree. Let's get to this game. So what we do is we take a year, we take a platform, and then we give each other 4 options as to what the answers are. We play that audio. We try to guess what each other's game is. I'm going to start today with mine, as I often do. I think I always do. I always go first.
I think I always go first.
I think I do. So you're going to notice a theme here in terms of what kind of game this is, but this is from the arcade. The year is 1993.
Oh,
you did 93 as well. I just noticed. We're both picking the same year by total accident.
We're on the same wavelength.
I guess so. Anyway, this was a big deal in arcades, and I will now play the audio, and you guess what it is. I'll tell you your options in a second. Here we go.
Put your hands up! You can't kill me!
Help me! Help me!
All right, goes on like that for a long time. Is this game one of these following? And it is, and these are all real games. Was it A, Virtua Cop? Was it B, Heist Busters? Was it C, Lethal Enforcers? Or was it D, Virtua Cop 2? Again, you got Virtua Cop, Heist Busters, Lethal Enforcers, or Virtua Cop 2.
And so it's not Virtua Choplifter?
It is not Virtua Choplifter, although I love that. Or Coplifter, even. It's not that.
Coplifter, that is great. Let's see here. I definitely have played this one, but unfortunately, I think I've played Virtua Cop, Lethal Enforcers, and Virtua Cop 2, so that doesn't help me a lot. I don't recall Heistbusters. Heistbusters, who are you going to call?
Yep. I'm going to call the Heistbusters to get the heist going.
For some reason, I keep wanting to think it's Lethal Enforcers, but then I'm going to say instead, give me the D. Give me some Virtua Cop.
All right, I'm giving you the D. I just put my drink on a gummy.
Even though you spelt it wrong.
Oh, did I? I typed them all out manually, so all of them are suspects, to be honest. Let's see if that is correct. Is that right? Oh, the answer was Lethal Enforcers. It was Lethal Enforcers.
Lethal Enforcers.
Now, I didn't play that part of the game for you, but all throughout this thing, when you're putting quarters in, it goes
Lethal Enforcers.
And you go to the and then you go to the menu. It's like, okay, I want to start.
Lethal Enforcers.
It does it again. You're like, all right, now I'm ready for player one.
Lethal Enforcers.
Like, it was constantly saying the name of the game, so I had to be careful what I recorded. So I had that game at home as well when it came out for the Saturn.
Oh, yes.
I think.
Oh, dude, we got to get back to the Saturn as well. There's been a lot of cool stuff that's been coming out about the Saturn.
Yeah, and I bought the two big guns too. I had the whole set, the whole thing.
Oh,
I had
love it.
Yeah, we were all running around shooting screens. It was great. Loved it, and it worked with what kind of TV did I have at the time? It was it had to have been something that would obviously work with a light gun. Yeah. But it wasn't a tube TV. It was like, I think we had one of those rear projection units, and it worked.
Oh. Yeah. Those things actually still work. Yeah, you could do that with the rear projection as well.
Well, let's see how you do.
I can't believe you got me on that. I was so convinced that you put Virtua Cop twice in here that had to be one or the other, and I was like, no, it sounds like the later version. If it was anything, I should have went with my gut.
Well, maybe, just maybe, that's why I put two in there to trick you.
I know, you tricked me, you turd.
Oh, and I should mention, I said they were all real games. I made up Heistbusters. That's not a real game.
Okay, good. That's the reason why I never.
Yeah, the rest of them, you weren't going crazy.
I didn't say something stupid like, "Oh yeah, Heistbusters. Used to love that game."
No, that's how you know Brian's an honest guy, doesn't? He's like, "Wait, what is that game? I made that shit up. That is not a real game. Everything else is real." Brian, now that I've got a point in my pocket, let's see if we can put one in yours. What's your game?
All right. Oh, hey, this the same year, 1993, like you said, but I decided to go home and play on my Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Ooh. All right, 1993, eh? Let's see what we got. Damn. Okay. Well, I think I know what the sound of movement is. That boot 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 boot, because it's not to the beat, so that helps me a little bit. All right, tell me my options.
To the beat. So this is very much sounds like an SNES game, right? All right. Hey, here we go. We got some answers here. We got A. Is it Plock? No, I'm sorry. Plock. You got an exclamation mark.
These are all real games too, right? Actual games.
These are real games. I'm not playing. So is the answer A. Plock?
Yeah.
B. Beethoven, the ultimate canine caper. C.
Shit.
Arrow, the acrobat. D. Cool Spot.
Okay, it's definitely not Cool Spot.
Cool Spot.
I would know that one. Plock. I don't know what Plock is.
I got a Plock.
Plock.
Cool Spot. We covered Cool Spot.
Yeah, we did. We did a whole thing on it. Plock, I don't know. I'll come back to Plock. Beethoven, the ultimate canine caper, I knew existed but never played. I think I'd seen that. I was
watched all the movies.
I wasn't a big Beethoven guy. I like Charles Grodin a lot, but
Charles Grodin's amazing. His show was he had a little night. Remember his night show?
Yeah, it was way too short, but it was great.
Yeah,
while it was on. It's still one of the greatest movies ever made. Is the one he does with De Niro. What's that called? The De Niro one?
I
love that movie so much. Still to this day holds the hell up.
What is that? It's
the sweariest damn thing you've ever seen.
It is.
Why can't I get the name of it though? What's wrong with me?
I don't know.
He's a big
fish.
De Niro's a bounty hunter. He has to take Grodin back. I'm not going to remember it. Okay, cool spot, not on there. Arrow the
Midnight
Acrobat.
Run.
Midnight Run. Shit. Love that. Love that movie. Arrow the Acrobat. Might be, but I don't think that's it. So I'm going to go with B, and you picked a weird-ass Beethoven game, so I'm going to say B.
Would you say B? Is it because it's the longest word up there, or is it because you never played Arrow the Acrobat?
I played a little Arrow the Acrobat. Is that the correct answer?
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott. The answer is B. You got it right.
Oh, I got it right. Oh, man. Is that game any good, or is it just shit? Like, what's that like?
It is. Okay, so at one point in time, like in the SNES era, there were just tons of these side-scrolling, just throwaway games. And this is one of those. I mean, if you had a intellectual property, there was a game type where you just bounce across the screen in some city streets, like some urban setting maybe, and you would just jump over stuff, avoid objects.
Oh gosh, look at this thing. This looks so bad.
Yeah.
Actually, the dog animation's not bad. It's pretty good.
Dog animation's kind of cool. The sprites are very detailed, almost like they're scanned in or something. But Beethoven's got the ability to bark and to scare away other dogs who would impede your travel. But you got a bunch of trash cans to knock over and collectibles.
So just barking at other animals and barking at kids on skateboards makes those kids and other dogs and animals disappear, which is a little weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's just all this is. It's just those.
Does Charles Grodin show up in this thing? Do we get Charles Grodin at all?
I didn't get to the final boss, but I'm assuming he is there somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, they really did just make games out of anything. Here's Lethal Enforcers just for fun, by the way. This is what this looked like. It was a pretty ugly gun game. Like this is not dynamic. This was nowhere as cool as Virtua Cop or Time Crisis or any of those games. But, there's Jim from The Office back there sticking his head up, and don't shoot him.
Don't shoot. Yeah. Don't shoot me.
Yeah.
No.
But I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the Beethoven, the Ultimate Canine Caper is based on Beethoven 2, the movie where Beethoven's got to, take care of the puppies, because the first one was all about them dealing with the Beethoven, right? And the second movie is all like, oh, what if it was Beethoven, and then a bunch of puppies?
So some kid somewhere though loves this game.
Oh, this is somebody's favorite somewhere.
Oh, there was a bark in the audio. I should have waited for that. I would have given it away. Well, I got it anyway. I got the answer. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
You got the answer.
All right.
Yeah, I had to avoid the barks. It's like, it's going to get away if I have them bark. It's going to be a no-brainer.
Yeah, a couple are in there, but I didn't get that far. Well, all right then. There you go. I win. You lose. Take that, Brian. Take that right in the shorts.
Take it. Take it.
Hey, everybody. You know what that means?
Welcome
to the treasure room. Loving our new voice and text line, voicecast.app/playretro. And the reason I like it is you can send both voicemails and texts to me, which I really appreciate people doing. Mm-hmm. I'm now going to share with you a voicemail that we got at that same address. You can use your phone, your desktop, your browser, wherever you want to get to it. It's easy peasy. It doesn't have to, and no login. Beautiful. It doesn't cost you a dime. You can live in the middle of nowhere and send us a call, and we're happy to take it as long as you have some kind of internet connection. Anyway, here is this call from, where is it here? Oh, there's a redneck rampage thing from Ricky.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, you were just talking about this, you and I. So
yeah, yeah, this is
very interesting.
Hey, y'all, this is Ricky from Oklahoma. And one of my favorite of those video games that y'all haven't talked about yet is that Redneck Rampage. When I was a young feller, I liked that DOS game a whole lot in the old computer system. Y'all don't be talking about that. I'd be liking if you'll be all talking about that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I love Ricky. Yes, I've got Redneck Rampage on the ready. Always. I love that game. And I think with the price of eggs being so high, it's a perfect time to play Redneck Rampage, which
a game that wastes a lot of eggs. In that
a lot
game.
of eggs.
Yeah.
A lot of eggs. Thank you, Ricky. And thank you for also doing the voice. So
yeah, I assume that's not his real voice. We're just going to assume
Oh, gee.
I think you made that up. You sound like a guest star on the Andy Griffith Show, but that's fine. Whatever. Not like modern.
It's funny
redneck.
Ricky, it's funny because I just mentioned yesterday to Scott, I was like, hey, we need to play some Redneck Rampage. And then And then Scott went off on a squirrel hunt, and he was like, Rampage, you mean the game where you can beat the buildings up and stuff? Let's do that one. I was like, all right, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, I got confused. Which Rampage we were doing. Kind of threw me.
Some Rampage.
But don't worry, Redneck Rampage is coming, literally coming down the pipe. We're going to do it. We're going to cover it. So your idea is a good one. We also got the form of a text here. This comes to the same thing, voicecast.app/playretro. Holy crap, Brian. I was a metal vocalist for 10 years, and your growls are incredible. When you growled Big and Spawn, ever think of switching careers, says Brandon. So Brandon wants to know if you're ready for your Screamo career.
Absolutely. I am ready to go growl it up. I head every Saturday. I head down to the dark metal of a karaoke place, and I get to do like 2 hours worth of that. So that's great. No, that's fun. Metal vocalist. That's so cool. Thank you, Brandon. I do like.
For the record, that's not Brian doing that, but Brian can do a real close version of that. So.
Yeah, I love doing that. That's like my favorite. I think it used to be the Sunday thing that really got me. Remember those commercials?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody had one in their hometown. It was always
for the 20 years I've known you. You've always had the ability to take some octaves way down, and we need to find some like money making out of it. I don't know what.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I need to. But the metal vocalist, that sounds like a lot of fun. I would like to do that.
It'd be all right. The lifestyle's a little rough.
I'd do it.
But,
I'd do it right now if it wasn't for the freaking the pear trees that are out right now. There aren't really pear trees in the South right now. If you live where I live,
what do they do? You allergic to them?
They're terrible. Oh, they smell horrible. And they just give you allergies like nobody's business. What is it, like some kind of pear tree? But I don't think they actually produce pears. They're just jackasses. Let me see. Wait a minute. I think Chuck. Remember, Chuck and Amy, right?
Yeah.
Chuck had said something earlier. Here we go. Yeah. An automaton. Chuck says, talking about the trees.
Yeah.
Don't produce edible pears, really. They're essentially trees that seem to flower like dogwoods, but they smell like rotten fish.
Ew.
What? Yeah. Oh, they're the worst.
Is it a fruit you're supposed to?
Bradford pears.
Bradford pears. Are you supposed to eat them or no?
No, they just stink.
Okay.
And they bloom like these white flower blooms, and
because there are a lot of fruit trees where the fruit stinks, but people eat them still. But this is one that no one eats. The fruit is left on the ground.
You can't eat anything off of it because you die when you get within 5 feet of it.
Because you have to breathe, right? You gotta. You can't walk up to a tree. You can't breathe.
You've seen The Happening with Mark Wahlberg? Is that the one with? Yeah,
never saw it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Film Sack for that shit. I'm not doing that on my own.
Isn't that the one where where nature comes and knocking and kill? Yeah, that's probably the first line of attack.
I'm excited actually eventually to get to that because I've heard so many horrible things and I've never seen it. I'd like to know. Well, all right, there you go. Thanks for your stuff, everybody. Again, you can find all this linked at the site, but the easiest way to do it is go to voicecast.app/playretro. Do it today and send us your feedback. Our next discussion/game is going to be, almost accidentally, Rampage. That's right. Not without the redneck. This is just the big monkey, the dumb sea creature, and the huge, what was the other one? Lizard, like a giant kaiju.
The other one was Dwayne The Rock Johnson. No, that's the movie.
That's another movie I haven't seen. I'm saving for Film Tech. That movie was based on Rampage, the game, though, right? Is that the deal?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. It's just a bunch of kaijus running around the city, and not hilariously like Rampage. I remember Rampage as the first arcade game that just made me laugh.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Just naturally funny. Yep.
It's hilarious to see those giant monsters picking up like flamethrowers and then blowing out flames out of their mouth. It's a lot of visual comedy while at the same time kind of making you feel like a badass.
Yep.
Wrecking the city.
Reach into a window.
It's like a cartoon.
Reach into a window, pull a guy out, eat him,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great.
And you may not know this, but there's more. It's not just that first one. No. There's ports and things.
Yeah,
there's a really kind of cool that fits in our retro area for the PS2. There's was it Rampage Extreme or something like that? I can't remember what it was, but I loaded that one up, so I'm looking forward to at least looking at that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that in my living room. I have a 1-up cabinet. There's 6 games or whatever, and one of them is Rampage, so I'm going to play some of it there. My daughter's little boy loves that thing. He loves Rampage.
Yeah.
He's
it's like
terrible
a cartoon.
at it.
I mean, it really looks like a cartoon.
Yeah, it's goofy as hell, and we're going to play it.
Yeah.
So Rampage, put it on your calendars. Get ready. It's coming at you.
I still don't know how the game functions, though. I don't understand the game mechanics still of Rampage, and I can't wait to discover it.
It's weird because it's basically a structural destabilization structural game, and you have to do it kind of meticulously in a weird way. It isn't just lay waste to things.
Right.
And I guess they had to do that to make it a game, right? Because otherwise it's just sort of a mess. I don't know. We'll talk about it next week because it's a weird game for sure. But it's got a lot of love around here, and we got stuff to say. So watch for that. That's next week. That's Rampage. Quick note here to thank some new patrons. Dwayne Powers and Derek J. Harsh are both brand new patrons, and we love them for it. Patreon.com/playretro is where they signed up to get no commercials or ads, pre-show content every week, and other cool stuff that you only get by signing up, and it's really easy to do. So be one of them. Head over there now, patreon.com/playretro. Let's beef that shit up so we can do more cool stuff here. All right?
Right. We got it. Yeah, we got to open an arcade. And pre-show, we talked about our magazine we got to make. We got a retro magazine we want to do. Yeah. So, every bit of that money, we go, put it back in the show.
Yeah.
We're going to make something cool.
Roll it all back in, baby. That's, again, patreon.com/playretro. You can also find our website at playretro at the Frog Pants site, frogpants.com/playretro. Brian, that's going to do it for us. Do you have anything you'd like to say to kind of put a pin in it?
Yeah. Well, welcome to Retro. Need for Speed Underground Rivals PSP. That's right. Don't forget, 20 years old. We just
Yeah, again, made it. Whoops, that's not it.
Sonic Software Plan.
I can't find a good sound for it.
I love how you smash the soundboard when something.
I'm like elf in the. It's like the elf in the elevator. Just. I forgot to mention that. That is a very good, well done video game that entered Retro. Need for Speed Underground Rivals PSP. Great game, by the way.
Came this close to picking up a PSP for $5. Apparently, the guy,
look at you.
Yeah, I was stopped at the thrift store that I always go to, and TD told me, he said, you want some of these PSP games? I'm like, I don't have a PSP right now. He said, I should have been here 30 minutes earlier. We had one, and they didn't have any power cables, but we sold it for $5. It's like, why would you tell me? Why would you tell me that?
Why? My gosh, I would have done it even if it was broken.
Right.
$5. All right. Well, you miss out. You do what you do. All right. Well, that's it. Everybody go play something retro. And we'll see you next time.
Those pants are made for frogging, if you know what I mean. I actually don't. Frogpants.com.
Feel the power as you attack and evade.
Attack and evade.